Guys, all right, we're now starting a new unit, which is unit 1, unit 9, day 1. So I'll try to do all the videos for unit 9 this time versus Miss Lopez only doing it. And I'm gonna try to kind of show you where we're, how we starting from, like in this case, we're starting from an equation of a circle, which is 12.5 in your textbook. Today you also would get your monthly calendar, which is the April calendar, and it kind of goes through what you guys have for each day. If there's no snow or there's no any day being canceled. Um, my odd day students, on the 5th, you would have your district assessment that you guys were supposed to take during a week before spring break, but since you didn't get a chance to take it, that's where you guys gonna be taking it. And But we will continue as it is. So make sure you guys keep track of when we're having a quiz, when we're having a test, and the quarter ends the 13th. So unit 9 won't be on your grade, but everything else before that will be on your third quarter grade. So make sure you're also working on it. So today I'm going over day 1, and this is where at the bottom of your calendar you will see where we're getting this, trying to get you ready for the SOL. So what we're trying to teach you is for this unit is 12.12a1, which is identifying the center, the radius, the diameter of a circle, and given a standard equation. And all this objective that I highlighted is what is covered in this one section. So that the knowledge is really not difficult, but the type of question they ask you based on this one section is a lot. So I want you guys to really pay attention to this, because as you guys getting ready for your test or for your quiz, just come back and read this and say, do I know this? If not, then you can go back and try to watch the videos or come with your questions so that I can go over it. So the first thing we're going to be doing for this part is try to answer this question. It says, use your compass to make a circle with the center at the origin, and the radius is going to be 5. So all of you know at this point the center is where the origin is going to be 0, 0, right? Well, that's where a coordinate grid starts. And they want the radius to be 5 units. The radius can be going up 5 units to the right, to the left, or down. It doesn't matter, but I will just make sure I go to the right and make this my radius to be 5. I just need to worry about if one of them is 5. Then I'm going to move my compass to the center. So it's kind of hard to do it with the smartboard, but I would try my best to kind of make it kind of exact. So this is what I have. The point where I start is 0, 0. The radius is 5. So now all I have to do is create my circle with it. So it's kind of, this is what we have to do to it's kind of close, right? So this is my circle with this instruction that they gave me, right? They want they want us to use a compass. So this is the compass I use, but the compass we have in the classroom looks a little bit different, or the one they use for the SOs looks a little bit different, but we will practice on it. And then I just made a circle that has a center at the origin, and the radius is 5. So the next question is asking you, uh, does the circle seems to go through any other integral points? So this is kind of a new word. I don't think you guys have heard it when in Algebra 1, but when it says integral point, it means like a coordinate that is integer. So in this case, it goes through here, right? So I can say, oh, the circle goes through 5, 0, right? In this case. So you can say this is 5, comma 0, and and then you look through the circles and try to find, and the easy one is when it is here. Okay, so let me get my pen to work, not my eraser. So kind of bear with me. So this is the other one that I can clearly see. This is another one, and definitely that I know for sure those are the integral points. Like you might find something over here that might be, but you really have to make sure that the distance from here to here is going to be 5, okay? So you probably have to do some Pythagorean theorem equation to find it. So this is going to be 5, no, 0, sorry, 5, right? I didn't go anywhere with. And this is going to be negative 5, 0, and this one is going to be 0, negative 5. So these are called integral points. It might be more than one. You might be able to find another point here, like 3 and 4. I think it would work. 3 and 4. Because if I wanted to find the distance from here to here, you see kind of, it's hard to draw down, but you kind of create a right triangle. So the distance from here to here is 3. The distance from here to here is 4. So if you do 3 squared plus 4 squared, it gives you 9 plus 16, which is 25. So the square root of 25 is 5, right? So that can also be an integral point. But it's kind of hard to find those points. So just focus on the one that is actually on the grid that you can clearly see, okay? Then the third point is there is there a relation between the x and the y coordinate, like as you guys see here, x and y coordinate, and the radius of the center? What relationship do you see? So as you guys can see, this is 5, this is negative 5, this is negative 5, this is positive 5, right? So kind of see that the relationship is the distance from the center to the other endpoint is going to be the same. So to the right is 5, to the left is 5, or up is 5, down is 5. So that's the relationship that you get to see. So this is the key in this section. The good thing is this equation will be given to you in the formula sheet. So you don't really need to memorize it, but it also need to, and they also give you this, that h and k is going to be the center, and the radius is going to be designated by r. And this is the 3 important things you need to remember. Make sure you highlight it, put a star next to it, whatever you guys need to do so that you guys can remember. But these are the things that are gonna help you uh, do well for this section, okay? So this is what you have to, there's no parentheses when the center is at the origin. So when I write the equation, I don't need to use parentheses. So it will look like something like this. Okay, so when it says x squared plus y squared equals to 16, that means the origin is at the 0. Okay, so that means, because if I put 0 here at the h, x minus 0 is going to be just x, right? Y minus k minus 0 is just going to be y. That's why if there are no parentheses, the center of the origin is going to be 0. The second one you have to remember is going to be to find the radius, take the square root of the constant. See the constant here? That is your number that you're going to see. So in this case, I have 16. So 16 is the constant number that I see. So if I wanted to find the radius of this example, I need to do what? The square root of that number. Okay, so what is the square root of 16? 4. So 4 would be the radius. And the third thing you need to see on this section is, you need to remember is, when you have a value in the parentheses, okay, like this equation here, so you have a value number in the parentheses, like you have 2, negative 2, and positive 1, negate the values to get h and k. Okay, so that's what they're talking about. So these are the 3 things you have to remember. What does it mean to negate? So if you look at the equation has a negative, right? It says x minus h and y minus k, where the center is a positive h and a positive k. The equation has a negative. So what is the center is h. That means the negative h what the negation of negative h is positive h. The negation of negative k is positive k, which is the opposite. Negate, to negate something means to write the opposite of that number, right? So that's what you guys have to remember. So we're just going to do these two examples. So what would happen is they would give you equation like this, and one, they would ask you to, okay, what is the center of this equation? Since I don't have any parentheses, the center for this one is just going to be the origin, which is 0 and 0. And if you look at the number 2 of this, thing they gave you, to find the radius, that's what I'm trying to find here, right? I'll take the square root of then the constant. So I'm just going to take the square root of 16, which is 4. That's all you have to do. And if I want to draw it, the center is at 0, 0. 4 is to the right, so I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the side 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm right, 3, 4, and then you just use your compass, or you just kind of freehand draw it, and that's going to be your circle. Okay, and the same thing here. I wanted to find the parentheses, when you have the value in parentheses, negate the value. So I have a negative 2 here and a positive 1. So the negation of negative 2, what's the opposite of negative 2? Positive 2. What's the opposite of a positive 1? Negative 1. That is what the center is. The constant is 9. So what is the square root of 9? It is 3. And if the number you guys have outside is not a perfect square, just write it as square root of, like, if it was 10, I'll just write square root of 10. And that's going to be it, okay? All right, so this is what we have. So you guys can try C and D, or, I'll go over it in class again, okay? So now they're asking you to write the equation. It says write the equation, the general equation of a circle when given the center and the radius. So they gave me the center, right? They gave me the center, and then they gave me the radius. They want me to write the equation. So remember to subtract the center from x and y, and square the radius, because the equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared, parentheses squared, equals to radius squared. So in the first one is 0, 0. That's easy, right? I'll just put 0, 0 here. So it's going to be, I don't need to put any parentheses. It's going to be x squared plus y squared equals to radius squared. So if I square this, what do I have? Just 3, right? And what about b? I have negative 1 and 0. So in this case, x minus negative 1 is going to give me what here? The two negative is going to change into positive, right? That's why we have to negate it. Squared plus y minus 0, right? That's what I have. Squared, what's y minus 0? Just y. So this one is just going to be like this. And this one is going to be x minus, plus 1 squared equals, the radius is given to be 5, but what's 5 squared? 25. Perfect. So that's going to be my answer for B. Okay, so you guys can try C and D, and then we'll go over it in class. So this is where it gets interesting. They gave you 3 questions where you have to, so this is what I was telling you. The objective is that the concept is one thing. You just need to know what the equation looks like, what is it, but the type of question they gave you is going to be different. So this is what they said. Find the value of the equation in standard form of a circle. So again, I'm going to write down what is the equation of a circle. It's going to be x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals to radius squared, right? So in this case, I need to know the center, and I need to know the radius. If I have the center and the radius, I can write the equation. Do I have a center for this one? Yes. Do I have the radius? No. The only thing I have is the other endpoint. So if you guys remember, if it is if one of the endpoint is 0, 3, that means the radius is going to be what? 3, right? Because it just went 3 units up. So if it goes 3 units up, then right would be 3, down would be 3. So all I have to do for this one is just going to be x squared, because I don't need to put parentheses if it is the origin, y squared equals to 3 squared, which is 9. So I can just write 9 instead of writing it as 3 squared. So that's for the first one. But in this case, they gave me a coordinate that I cannot just count, right? So the center is not longer 0, 0. So what I need to do is x minus 1 squared, right, plus y minus 2 squared equals to, what's the radius between this point and this point? It's easier to draw it in a grid and then use Pythagorean theorem. That's going to be the easy way of doing it. So that's something I would recommend you guys to do. But if not, use the old-fashioned of distance formula. Remember, we have a squared b x1 minus x2 squared. So I'm going to do 4 minus 1 squared, and then y2 minus um, y1 squared. So 4 minus 1 is going to be 3 squared, plus 6 minus 2 would be 4 squared, still in the square root. So this is going to give me 9 plus 16, which is 25. So the radius is going to be what? 5. But I need to put it radius squared. So what is radius squared? 25, right? And that's what I have to do. And we're going to do a lot of the practice like this, okay? And I strongly suggest plotting it and using a squared, b squared, c squared to find it. So the center is 5 and 0. The diameter is 24. So if the diameter is 24, what is the radius? What's the relationship between diameter and radius? So one diameter is going to be 2 times the radius, right? So what is 2 times a number that gives you 24? 12. Perfect. So all I have to do is x minus 5 squared. So this is the 0, so I just need to do y squared equals 12 squared, which is 144. Okay? All right, the last one is they didn't give me the center nor the radius. I need to find the center and I need to find the radius. Okay? So to find the center, I will use the midpoint. Okay? To find the radius, I will use distance. So this is a good review for unit 1. So what is the midpoint formula? You guys remember? It's going to be x1 plus x2 divided by 2, because I need to know the center to write my equation. y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So I'm going to add my x's. So negative 2 plus 4 divided by 2. And then I'm going to add my y's, which is 6 and 10. 6 plus 10 divided by 2. So what is negative 2 plus 4? Just 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, right? 6 plus 10 is 16. Divided by 2 is 8. So this is my center. Yeah? And then now I need to do the distance. So I can do the distance to find the diameter, but since I already have the center, why not find the center and the other endpoint? And I can pick any of the point. I don't have to use both. So I'll just use, let's find the distance between, because now this is what I got, right? This is negative 2, 6. This is 4 and 10. I'm just drawing it randomly. And this is the diameter. Now I just found the radius to be 1 and 8. So I need to know the distance from here to here or the distance from here to here. So it's easier you can do the whole distance and cut it in half if that's what you want to do. But I just need to do distance from here to here. I know I'm passing the 20-minute mark, but I took the time at the beginning to go over the calendar. That's why it's taking me a little bit longer. All right, so distance to find the radius. Distance to find the radius. So I wrote it down on top. So I'm just going to do the distance. All right, I just posed the time so that it's not going too far. So what I did is I just did the distance between 1 and 4. So as you guys can see, 1 minus 4 squared. Then I did 8 minus 10 squared here. And then you would get, when you do the equation, you get square root of 13. So square root of 13 is my radius. Now all I have to do, I have my center, which is 1 and 8. I have my radius, square root of 13. Now all I have to do is write the equation, which is x minus 1 squared plus y minus 8 squared equals to the square of radius squared. So since radius is square root of 13, when I'm squaring this, it's just going to give me 13. So I'm just going to put 13 here. So this would be the equation of the circle. Okay, so I hope this is helpful and you like, me doing the video. If you want to continue listening to Miss Lopez, then let me know and I can put hers on Edpuzzle too. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day.